Well, nearly 36 states across the country have some form of voter identification law on the books, which requires people to show ID at the polls. Some of those laws are being challenged, and a few even face rulings from the Supreme Court. Chief Washington correspondent James Rosen is live in D.C. with more on all of that. James.
John, good afternoon. The Supreme Court just yesterday received an emergency request from the state of North Carolina asking the justices to temporarily block an appeals court ruling striking down the Tar Heel State's voter ID law. In response, Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts gave the opponents of that law until 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, August 25th, to respond. Legal analysts regard North Carolina's bid to preserve its voter ID law as a long shot, but note that how the Roberts Court, now down to 8 members with the death of Justice Antonin Scalia in February, handles this case could impact legal battles over voter ID laws in other states that could soon reach the High Court.
The Supreme Court has upheld voter ID laws, so there's no question that they're constitutional. Some are questioning how they're being implemented or specific laws are being passed. So you can make too much of this, but voter ID laws are in 38 some odd states, and about 70% of Americans, including minorities, support them.
Texas has also filed an appeal to the Supreme Court following a similar ruling from an appellate court deeming the Lone Star State's voter ID law unconstitutional. The impetus behind these laws was to cut down on voter fraud. Proponents contend that our most precious franchise should be treated with the same reverence reserved for boarding airplanes and buying cigarettes, meaning individuals ought to be able to show identification as proof of residency. Opponents say such laws discriminate against minorities who are less likely to possess identification.
The courts are essentially saying these are illegal, they're impermissible. The effect that these laws have on Americans is that they are suppressing their right to vote. And because of that, because states have not shown that there's, a compelling state reason to have these on the books, they're being struck down.
Wisconsin also saw a recent defeat for voter ID laws, with a federal district judge there striking down such a measure. John.
Interesting. James Rosen in Washington. Thank you, James.